Donald Trump was at a campaign rally in Wisconsin today, and he came out and said, as he was talking about the election and the upcoming election, that he needs a mandate. That he's going to need a mandate in this upcoming election. We're going to need the Republicans to turn out in voters never before seen and win by a larger margin than ever. Then he went back to repeat his claim that he got more votes than any sitting president ever in 2020 and the election was stolen and all of that. The truth in there is that he did receive more votes than any sitting president, but not any presidential candidate. Now, beyond that, he's talking about a mandate. And I think there is going to be a mandate, but not for Donald Trump, for Kamala Harris. I think Kamala Harris is going to win the popular vote by an even larger margin than what Joe Biden did in 2020. Joe Biden won the popular vote by about 7 million votes. And I think Kamala Harris could easily hit 10 to 14, maybe even higher. It's going to be a wide spread. Why? Because Donald Trump hasn't done anything since he lost the 2020 election to become more likable with voters. Now, I realize some people may not be enthused by Kamala Harris, but we know who Donald Trump is. We know what happened during a Trump presidency, and because of Donald Trump's Supreme Court picks, we had a very conservative Supreme Court majority that decided the Dobbs decision, which overturned Roe v. Wade, pissing off a lot of people, and we're seeing the effects of that, and people don't forget that. So you've got the abortion issue that is hurting Donald Trump. You have Donald Trump just being who he is, and people know what he's like. Most of his campaign has been nothing about but talking about his revenge tour and who he would go after and how he would prosecute those who he views as having wronged him in the election. He hasn't come up with a single policy to help anybody. In this time frame, he shot down the border bill and then wants to complain about the border. He called for a government shutdown. None of this helps Donald Trump. We know who he is. We know what his policies are. We've seen this show before. But he's saying there needs to be a mandate. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be a Republican mandate. I think there's going to be a Democratic mandate. I think Kamala Harris wins the popular vote, like I said, by 10 to 14 million, maybe even more votes. I think she wins the Electoral College by an even wider margin than what Joe Biden did. And I think it is possible that she flips a couple of reliably safe states blue. And when that happens, she is going to have a mandate to get stuff done. But beyond that, I think she is also going to have a democratically controlled House of Representatives. And I think the Democrats stand a really good chance of not only keeping the Senate, but actually maybe even gaining a seat in the Senate. If they can flip the Senate or keep the Senate and flip a seat or two, that would be a mandate in a year where they only had 9 seats in which they could potentially flip for pickups. They were defending, I think it's 24 seats. So if they pick up a seat in the Senate and they gain control of the House by 30 or 40 seats, which I think is entirely possible, that would mean they net flipped 35, 40, 45 seats, something like that. That would be a mandate for Kamala Harris to get things done. And I think that is entirely possible. We just need to get out, get that done, and deliver that mandate to her.